Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing books that defined my adolescence. And so we're going from like late elementary school to like middle of high school-ish. This is not an all-encompassing list. This is just the books that I could think of off the top of my head. Because I have so many. Actually, there are ones that I attempted to find and I can't even find them because I don't even remember what they were called. And I thought I remembered what they were called, but then I couldn't find them. So this is not a complete list, but it's pretty complete because I was a huge rereader as a kid and like early high school. I mean, I would read other books, but these ones on this list I read over and over and over and over again. So they definitely were a huge part of my growing up. And so the first one that I remember and I could find is Nothing is Fair in fifth grade. This one, I'm not entirely sure that I found the right one, but it's by Barth D. Clements. And actually, I don't know that it is the right one because it says the date was 2008. So I don't know that he wrote the right one. But I do remember that the book that I loved was something like that. And I don't remember a whole lot about it. I still own it though. Like it is in storage. I know that for a fact because this book just meant so much to me because so like growing up, like I was an overweight kid. I mean, I still am. But I was overweight. And this book follows this girl who comes into a classroom. She's a new girl and she is heavy. And she sort of slowly becomes friends with this one girl in the class and I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I do remember that they like go running together and the main character is really self-conscious about that because she has all these like big girl issues when she is running. And I remember this scene in a Sonic with someone. It was in the bathroom and it was super embarrassing and so I just remember those things. But I just remember really resonating with the main character in this book. And so I just read it over and over and over again. And I know for a fact I still have this book. I just wish that I remembered who wrote it. And I couldn't, I'm not entirely sure that I found it online. Um, I have no idea. Not that it really matters because I still have a copy. But man, I wish I remembered more about the story. It was one of those little short chapter books that you read in like fifth grade. And it meant a lot to me at that time in my life. The next one on this list is Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling. And I mean, I think at this point everyone kind of knows what Harry Potter is, you know, boy in the cupboard, the boy who lived. And I loved this series so much. This was probably my number one series until I became an adult. I just loved it. I read this series over and over and over again. I first discovered it, I was probably like 8, maybe 9 at most. I remember I had gotten it, I think when I was 8, because I didn't read it until 4th grade. And I remember reading it in 4th grade, and I had that really old mass market paperback. I'll see if I can find a picture and put a picture of it up here. But it was old, and I still have that cover, I think. I still have that one. I have so many copies of Harry Potter. But I remember it was the biggest book that I had read at that time because it was like, I think I remember hitting like 300 pages or something. And I was like so excited. I was like, man, this is big. Like, because at that point, I think I'd read a lot of like the Magic Treehouse books and a lot of like the Dalmatian illustration books. So I hadn't really read anything that big. And so it was the biggest thing. And I just loved this story. Every time there was a new book come out, I reread all of them. Like I would have them pre-read before the launch date or whatever, the release date. That's what it's called. And I would get these books like on release date. I remember when I think the 7th one came out, I was I was in high school. I was there at midnight when it released. And then I came home and I read I read for like an hour, and then I went to bed. But I had that book read in a handful of days. Like, I had these books with me all the time. I would take these to my brother's baseball and basketball and football games, and I would just sit there and read. I mean, I would watch and play, of course, but we'd be there all day, so I would just read. And these books, they are well worn, and I have so many copies. Like, my book 3 is just destroyed, and I've got multiple versions of book 4 because I had the mass market paperback on that one, and then I had the hardcover, and then I bought a whole new set. I bought the illustrated ones that are like graphics. I'll see if I have a picture. Um, but yeah, my very first set is all scattered. Like, they do not match at all. And so I was really happy to get the new set because they all kind of matched and made me feel special. Um, but yeah, that series, it meant a lot to me. I loved Hermione. Hermione is my favorite character ever. I just think she's so smart, and she's such a know-it-all, and I grew up feeling like a know-it-all. Um, Mostly because I was smart, but I wasn't ever like outgoing with it, and I felt like a know-it-all all the time, and so I loved the fact that she kind of normalized that for people. And so, yep, Harry Potter. It was a big part of my life. Still is. I will do it on audio, and I'll re-listen to it, and I love it. My favorite one for the longest time was book 3. Loved book 3. It got to a point where when like the 6th and 7th one came out, I think I didn't even read the first and second one because I didn't like those as much as the others. So I would start on book 3, and I would reread from book 3. So that copy got really worn, whereas the other ones didn't really get so worn. Um, but I just loved it. I read these books all the time. I couldn't tell you how many times I've read them. But anyways, I was saying, so book 3 was my favorite for a long time, but I also really loved book 5. I know everyone talks so much crap about Harry because he's so whiny and he is dealing with his depression and all these things. But you know what? Leave the boy alone, okay? He's been through a lot. He watched a man die, okay? Like, I mean, how would you feel if you'd watch somebody die? Like, I think he deserves a little bit of slack, you know? And then I really loved the 6th one. I didn't like the 7th one as much. I really liked when they were at school. And so I didn't really like it as much when they like deviated from that. Um but yeah, so the 3rd and the 5th and the 6th are definitely my favorites. Which one is your favorite? Let's fight about it in the comments. Okay, and then this next book. Oh man, it's destroyed too. This is Aragon by Christopher Paolini. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I started reading this book in like the 5th grade, and I just loved it. Like, I read this book so many times. So many times. Like, my entire cover is destroyed. I've mentioned it multiple times on here. Like, I had to tape it back together because I read this book so much. I didn't read, I think I reread the second one quite a bit, but I only read the third one like once, maybe twice, and then that was it. Like, I just, I just wasn't as into it after that. I don't really know why. I just kind of quit caring. But that first one really still holds a really high place in my heart. Nothing, man, I don't think anything can ever compete with how much I loved that book growing up. When I say read all the time, I mean all the time. It was always in my desk at school. And I just loved Aragon and Saphira and that story. And I hadn't really dealt with a whole lot of fantasy at that point, so I had no idea that there were so many callbacks to other major fantasy stories. And so everything was like so crazy to me. Didn't see nothing coming. And let me tell you, I threw that book too. is the first book that I've ever thrown in my life. When we had the big twist at the end, when Aragon found out who was on the other side, yep, I threw it. Sure did. Threw it across the bed because I was so mad. Because I loved Aragon and Saphira, and I don't know how y'all pronounce that dude's name, but I call him Murda. I think that's how I pronounced it. I think it's like Murtag or something. That doesn't make any sense to my brain. So he's Murda for me. But I just loved him. I don't even know like why it like gripped me so much, but it did. I think it was like the first like bigger fantasy series because like Harry Potter is like urban fantasy, but this was like full on whole new world, new languages, and I just loved it. I loved him learning how to use magic and him being a dragon rider, and I loved all of the things. And I did like book two, but it was after that I kind of like quit. And I haven't read the new one, like Murda's book by himself. Haven't read it. I'm really like skeptical because I really did not want to read that last book. I think there's four. I think there's four. I don't know. I don't even know at this point because I just didn't keep up, and I barely made it through that last book. I think it was Bersinger. Were there only three? Hang on, I'm gonna look it up. Yes, there were four books. There was Aragon, Eldest, Bersinger, and Inheritance. And I forgot all about Inheritance. Inheritance is the one that. Sorry, I gotta get comfortable. Inheritance was the one that I struggled through. Like, struggled through. I don't even know. It says it came out in 2011, which doesn't feel right. I feel like it came out so much later. That could just be the fact that, like, I didn't read it forever. I was definitely an adult when I read this. I had a hard time. I couldn't do it. Actually, I don't know. I may have read it because I feel like when I re-listened to it, it seemed familiar, but I just didn't remember. I don't know. You would think that as much as I loved Aragon, that I would have been like more engaged in the others, but I'm also really a big fan of like we don't need to continue on for too long. Like I'm good with like okay, we said this part of the story, we're done. And I think that that's a big part of that is I was done and I didn't need more and I got more and I just didn't need more. And so I think that was a lot of that because I don't do well with like continuations a whole lot of the time. Like if you've ended the world and then we go back into it, I'm probably not going to read them. Like, oh, Hunger Games. I did not read any of the new ones cuz like I don't need more to the story. And so I'm like that. And so I think that was the problem here with Aragon is I just didn't need more. This next series is The Face on the Milk Carton by Caroline B. Cooney. And this one I discovered, I think, late middle school, early high school ish. And I loved this. And I reread it as an adult, and it's not as good as it used to be, but it was good for me being in high school. But so in this one, we're calling this girl Janie, and she's at school, and you know how like back in the day on the milk cartons they would have pictures of kids that were missing? She sees a picture of a little girl and it's her. And she is so confused. Like, what do you mean I was missing? Like, I think I would remember that I was a missing child. And then she gets all confused of like, are my parents not my parents? Are my parents kidnappers? And so it becomes a whole thing and she has to like confront that and she has to ask questions and she has to um figure out all of the pieces to that. And I think there were four of these. I think there were a couple from her perspective, and then one from her boyfriend's perspective when he's at college. And that was the first one that I read. That was actually how I discovered it. I think it's like Voice on the Radio or something. And he is on the radio and he doesn't know what to say to the people. So he just starts telling her story and that's how he becomes like well known. And so now her story is out there for everybody to know, and so that was a big thing. And I really liked this one. I wish I liked it more as an adult, but that's okay. Not everything can remain as good as it was when we're teenagers. And I also thought of another one while I was sitting here talking about this one. It was a book called Freeze Tag. I don't remember who it's by, but I'll put it on the screen. And this one I want to reread. It's on my list. I have it in my app for Libby to reread it. But this book, I don't remember the girl's name. I remember the guy's name. His name was West because nobody else had that name, West. So it like always stuck in my brain. But so they would play together as kids, and there was this other little girl that they would play with as kids. And as they grew up, the main character in West started dating, and the other little girl was jealous. And so I don't remember how or why or what, but I know that she comes in contact with like these powers, and she can like freeze people. And so she starts using that as a manipulation tactic to get West because she wants to be with West. And so that book, oh, I read it multiple times as a teenager. Probably like freshman, sophomore year maybe. It was really good. I really liked it. I don't know how it's gonna hold up on reread because it sounds kind of teenage drama-y, but who knows? I can't believe I forgot about that book. I really like that book. Man, the things that we forget from when we're teenagers. Granted, I'm 32, okay? So these are from like 15, 20 years ago. So I'm gonna forget stuff. But yeah, Freeze Tag. It's pretty good. Oh my gosh, this next one. It's called Dairy Queen and it's by Catherine Gilbert Murdoch. But this one, we follow this girl DJ, and she is a farm kid. And as part of this guy Brian, as part of his like punishment and trying to help him learn how to be more of a team player, his football coach sends him to DJ's farm to work. And DJ hates him because he's so bratty and like just arrogant. And I think that they make fun of her and her family because they're farm kids and they have money. And plus, she comes from the rival school. And so he comes to work with her, but she has a lot to say about his ability to be a quarterback. And so they end up learning from each other how to play football better. And because like she's a receiver or whatever. And so like he throws to her and like they create a little football field out on her farm and they actually become buddies. But then DJ joins her high school football team. And now they're on rival teams. And he does not like that at all. He gets actually really upset about it. And I really like this one. I just thought it was fun because you have this teenage girl who joins the football team. And she's actually really good because she has siblings, multiple siblings who have gone on to play college for football. So, like, she knows what she's doing and she knows what she's talking about. And it's very much like a coming of age, like learning how to manage conflict and learning how to communicate because like they just don't talk a whole lot. And so she has to learn how to actually voice her feelings and actually talk about things that are bothering her. And so I really love this story. I actually reread it as an adult and it holds up fairly well. I mean, it's definitely for teenagers, but it wasn't a horrible read as an adult. So maybe check it out. Oh my gosh, this next one. I reread these, I don't know how many times. Are you catching a theme? But I've not finished them because there were just so many. I think there was like 12 or something, 13 maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of them. But it is the Alex Rider series by Anthony Horowitz. And in this, we're following Alex Rider. And it starts off book one, he's living with his uncle. And he finds out that his uncle died. And his uncle, I think they told him that his uncle was a banker or something. And he's like, how did my uncle die as a banker? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And so he finds out that his uncle was actually a spy. And so I think it's M16, MI6 or something. I don't know. Something like that. So they start talking to Alex about coming to work for them as a spy. This kid is 14. Now, granted, his uncle has like trained him and like groomed him basically to be a spy. He's been a black belt forever. He knows how guns work. He was in gymnastics and he knows how to do things. I think he even speaks languages. Like, he's well equipped to be a spy at 14. But like, who's going to use a kid? But so he becomes a spy in each of the books. You're just following him as he's going on these quests that they're sending him on. The stakes get pretty high though, because like the world's ending, or like the city's gonna be blown up, or kids are gonna be like drugged and things like that. And I loved this book so much that when the movie came out, like I watched it, and it wasn't even that good. I mean, it had what's his name, Alex Pettyfer in it. Kudos to you if you know who that is, because he did not get very famous. But actually, I think he played Aragon in the Aragon movie. It might be the same dude. I don't know. He was in Magic Mike though, so you probably know him from there. But anyways, so he was in the movie, and I watched it on YouTube. Okay, back in like 2008, 2014. No, not 2014. I don't even know. Like 2008 to 2011. Like, it was okay. It was an okay movie. And they did not do a second one though. There was not a second one made. But I think it was a TV series. They did do a TV series. I think I watched episode 1, and that was all that I watched. I was just out of it at that point. But I loved following him on his adventures, and like in these books he would do something and you'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." But then, like, a couple chapters later, you would be like, "Oh, that's why you did that, so you could get that." You know, like that whole thing where you like bump into somebody so you can steal their keys, that sort of thing. And so that kind of thing would happen, or he would be stuck in some sort of, I don't know, crisis, and he would MacGyver his way out of it. You know, just because he was smart and creative. And so I really enjoyed that. Um, Growing up, like I thought that was just so much fun. And this next one is Pushing the Limits by Katie McGarry. And this one was like the first of like the actual more adult romances that I read. It's not adult, but it has more adult themes. I think this was one of the first books that I read that had like actual language in it. Like, it has the F word in it, and like they actually like are intimate in this book. So it was definitely where I was like stepping over into like more adult themes. And you you're following this couple, and they meet, and I don't even remember. Hold on. Okay, I'll just read this to you. It says, "No one knows what happened the night Echo Emerson went from popular girl with jock boyfriend to gossip about outsider with freaky scars on her arm. Even Echo can't remember the whole truth of that horrible night." And then Noah Hutchins, the smoking hot girl using loner in the black leather jacket, explodes into her life with his tough attitude and surprising understanding. Echo's world shifts in ways she can never have imagined. They should have nothing in common, and with the secrets they both keep, being together is pretty much impossible. And so, what was his name? Noah Hutchison. Um, I really liked them together. It was the first book where we sort of delved into like mental health stuff, and that was really interesting for me because I wasn't expecting that. I loved like the mystery of that night, that horrible night that she was talking about. I loved the mystery of that. And when we finally got to where she like remembered everything, I loved it. I thought that it was done very, very well. Granted, I was a teenager. I don't think I read it as an adult. Um, but I really liked it. I really liked their love story, like their connection and how they were together. Now, Granted, I don't know how, what's the word? What's the phrase? Edgelord. I don't know how edgelord he is. Um, Now looking back, because I don't remember much about the story. I just remember that I really liked it. And I mean, he's a loner and a womanizer, it sounds like, but in his leather jacket. So who knows? But 15, 16-year-old me really loved it. I thought that the story was told really well. And then I really loved, um, it was actually my first experience with like companion novels because I read book 2, which was Dare You. Yeah, Dare You 2. And we're following one of Noah's friends. It's her love story with somebody else. And then you follow, I don't remember who it was. You follow like one of their friends. Like it's, you know how companion novels work. But so I really liked that. And I thought that was really cool because that was like my first experience with that. So I really liked these. I really need to reread those as an adult. I just really liked how they delved into more of like those tougher topics because like we deal with like mental health and we deal with like identity and poverty and a couple of the others, and we deal with like one, I think one of them was a fighter learning how to be a boxer, something like that. And I don't remember what else. It's been a minute, can you tell? But anyways, so I really liked those two. Like I read this one multiple times as a teenager. I just haven't reread it as an adult, but maybe that'll change. So, the last series on this list is the Private series by Kate Bryan. I loved these. Absolutely loved these. In these, we're following Reed, and she is going away to boarding school. And it is a high class boarding school, and she's a scholarship kid. And so she meets this guy, Thomas. Yeah, I think that was his name, Thomas. And so he's part of like the popular crowd, but he's more of like I'm going to do my own thing, sort of bad boy sort of type. And so she meets him and they become friends and they actually start dating. Um, but the big storyline is her relationship with the inner circle girls. Um, mm, Noelle is the only one whose name I actually remember. Um, but so she is trying to like get in on their good side, and so they kind of like haze her in order to like join their circles. And so she learns a lot of things about them that are not very good. And so they use that to like test her loyalty and see what she's going to do with that information, and they make her like break into places, and they really push their luck with her and trying to help her, well, and her trying to get in on their good side. And I think there are like 13 or 14 of these books, but these are super short. They're probably like 100 pages or so. Um, but I loved all of these. I was an adult. I think I was like 25 maybe when I went to McKay's in Knoxville and I saw the whole series and they were like 99 cents. I bought all of those. Bought them all right there on the spot because they meant so much to me growing up. Like I just loved everything about it. Like you've got a little bit of a mystery happening where I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, but like somebody dies. Okay, I just won't tell you who. And so we're trying to figure out like what happened to this person, and everyone's kind of a suspect, and we don't know who he was or anything. And so we start learning that there was more to this person that died than we even knew, and so we have to come to terms with that. And there are there are lots of things. Like it gets very dramatic, like very, very dramatic. Um like think like CW, old school CW, like the OC dramatic where things are like, okay, these are a little bit outside the scope of like what most teenagers would deal with, but okay, we can go with it. So it's very dramatic. But we spend the first few books trying to figure out everything behind this first death. Um, just because we just don't know. And I just I liked Reed a lot. I thought that she was a really good character. Because like she would be friends with like whoever, because I mean she's not a rich kid. And so she'd be friends with whoever, and then her friends would like she was trying to make friends with the popular crowd, and like they would get mad at her because of who she's hanging out with, and they'd be mean to them, and it's a whole girl drama thing, you know. And they also had a TV show about that, and I watched it. Forgot about that. I told just now. I think I only watched the first one though. I think, or maybe there was only one. I don't remember. I think I watched it on YouTube too. Thank God for YouTube, huh? I just find everything on YouTube. It used to have be that used to be how I would watch Heartland was on YouTube until I hit Netflix. Until I got Netflix, really. I used to watch the Mighty Ducks on there. That was back before I had the DVDs. Man. Anyways, that's a tangent. Anyways, so these are a good portion of the books that defined my childhood. Like, I reread all of these so many times, and I just had a lot to say about them. So, what books defined your adolescence? Have you read any of these? I mean, I'm sure you read Harry Potter, but have you read any of the other ones? I mean, you can let me know if you read Harry Potter too, but it would mean more if you've read the others too. Because I feel like nobody has like ever heard of half of those, so you know. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.